Hello, my name is Wi-Fi Punk, and I'm going to be giving you a quick tutorial on how to do proper baked lighting in Unity. I'm going to be covering the types of lights, light probes, reflection probes, and the bakery tool a little bit. This is going to be an overall quick tutorial that'll just be, for getting you set up and getting things working. A lot of tutorials go a little bit too far into detail for first timer, so it can be a little overwhelming. So this is basically what this is going to be for. We want to turn something like this into something a little bit nicer like this. This is a huge improvement. This is something to be proud of. You can bring a girl over and ERP with her. So we're going to dive right in to covering the types of lights. First off is the directional light. Now, if you've ever made a scene, which I'm sure you have, if you're here, you can tell what a directional light does. It's basically a sun source. It's very basic. It's great for outdoor environments, but indoor environments, not so much. So you will end up definitely needing to use some other types of light sources. The next one would be point light, which is a very useful light source, and probably the one that you'll end up using the most, and what we're going to be doing for this environment right here. So if you go into your menu in the hierarchy and just go to light, point light, you'll see this. If I turn on the lights, you'll actually see an instant difference. This is already much better. Now what we're going to be doing is actually just giving a little bit of fill light from this light over here as a source, and we're going to leave the majority of the rest of the room on the darker side. But that's mainly because that's the aesthetic that I am looking for. So whenever you spawn in a source, you'll see it's set to real time. Now this is fine and good for testing. Like for getting everything like, oh, this is how I want this to look. This is how I want that to look. Don't leave these as real time in the end. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But you've got intensity, which just makes how bright it is. You've got the indirect multiplier, which in this case isn't gonna do a whole lot because of we don't have any light probes and anything else set up. So and then you've got shadows. In general, for VRChat, hard shadows are more optimized, I guess. Like they're better in performance. And then soft shadows just honestly look nice. A lot of the time, you don't even need shadows. Nobody's gonna really mind that much. If you want them, it's up to you. Moving on, we next have the spotlight. Spotlights are a pretty useful thing. They're a literal spotlight. It's kind of a pain for me to get this up here. So yeah, there we go. We've got a spotlight. It does exactly what you would expect it to do. It's a spotlight. You would want to adjust these as you see fit. However, do keep in mind that having these, especially set to real time, and having this culling the player layer can get very bright. These can get very, very bright on players. So feel free to mess with these. They're very useful. You can put them on a wall, and they generally will bake well. But then we're going to move on. So next up is the area lights, and area lights are again very, very useful. You can think of them as like the light from a fluorescent ceiling light. Will cover a room area. So like if we were to fill this out to the size of the room, it would shine lights down underneath it. It by default faces this way. So these are, however, baked only, and you do have to bake the lights to really see how they work, and that can be time consuming. So again, would recommend using area lights for a lot of things, especially indoor environments. It's the only way you're going to get a lot of appropriate lights most of the time. But if you've only got a room like this, then using a point light is very easy. It's really just it's simple. It's not hard. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make this light a little yellower, a little nicer, calming. Yeah, that's fine. As well, maybe a little bit more on the warm side. There we go. You can also, do a color temperature change like this. If you want it to be like really dark, really not. But honest, yeah, right in here is fine. I'll generally do them myself by color choice, but it's preference. And once you've got that, have it set. And now, in this case, we would go to baked light. So we've got a single baked light in here, right? And we've also got this directional light. However, this directional light, we're not going to really be using. Our goal for this is to have no no real-time lights at all. However, we can leave this in the room to be turned on for like player light, so that it'll shine on the players if players want to see their avatar brighter. But if in general your room is, or like like the buildings you're working with or whatever, like you don't want extra light everywhere inside. So I'm going to change this to nothing, and then I'm going to set this to player. I'm going to turn this off. Now what I could do is I could have this toggled on, or like say like this bottle, for example. I could first it would need a box collider, which I can make a trigger, and then trigger, and then set it to on interact. And this is specifically for VRChat. If you're not doing VRChat, you can skip over this. But I just make it a local trigger, set the game object, and then set the directional light to toggle like that. So now if somebody were to click that bottle, I guess the directional light would turn on for the players, and I'll go ahead and just leave that there. But we're going to focus around doing solely baked lights for the entire room. We've covered all 4 types of lights, which are directional, point, spotlight, and area lights. Then we're also going to require some reflection probes and light probes for this world. So since we're still running down this list, I'll go ahead and do a reflection probe next. So reflection probes are very interesting. They tell your world what should be lit by what's and reflected how. And the easiest way to explain this is just that if you have like a really a shiny like a really shiny orb or something, right? Or a window, it tells everything in the room where the light is. So what I'm going to do right here is with a reflection probe, I'm not really explaining all this too much, but it's pretty simple. Just hitting this little icon, and then just scaling it to be actually just almost as big as the room. Because if you, in VRChat anyway, if you, and a little bit lower than the floor, if you have something outside of this that's like you don't have any directional lights or anything like that, and you have a pickup item or something, if that pickup item isn't in a reflection probe area, then it won't reflect. It won't reflect any light. It won't light up. It'll be black. It'll be like pitch black. And that's required. You'd want to fill this area with light probes too. So we're just gonna do this. Right, there's fine. That's pretty decent. So what I'll do a lot of the time is just fill the room like that. It's really up to you how much of the room you want. I wouldn't make it like significantly bigger or anything like that. If anything, you're gonna end up wanting like multiple which you could. I could have two light probe areas in here like this, just like that. However, because it's just a single small room, we don't really need that, so I can just leave it as one big area. If you want to move this around, you just come over here, hit that. I'm going to put this like dead in the middle, like that. And then when you're ready to bake the reflection probe, you just hit bake. This is really quick. Though it might try to do a little bit more right now because it hasn't baked before. And there we go. Okay, so we've got this reflection probe in here now. Perfect, easy clap. And then we just need light probes. So something I would actually recommend picking up is going into the asset store and then searching for light probe. And then you'll see this light probe placer. This thing will save you a lot of time. Get it. Manually placing light probe sucks. This does it for you. Get it. Just import, then you're good. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make an empty object, call it light probes, and then on this, you're gonna, after you've imported that tool, go here and we're actually going to do group control. It'll automatically add the light probe group, and then light probe volume. Not proxy volume, but volume, like this. And then, so we're going to place this inside of our room. We are going to expand this just bigger than our room. Like that. That looks close enough. Don't have to be super picky. And then we're gonna make the density. I'll do like 555. This is quite a few light probes. This will work for us. Then once all of these are set to 5 like that, under the light probe volume script here, we just hit create light probes like that, and bam! Now you've got light probes. It's really all that you have to do there. Nothing crazy. So we've got reflection probe, we've got light probes, and then we've got a baked point light. And if you are ready now, that's really all we're trying to do. This will make it so that the main reason we're doing all these light probes and reflection probes is so that they reflect off of the player avatars and the pickup items and the dynamic objects, because whenever you bake lights, it will bake it to the entire static area. Like all these walls will be baked, but like the pickups and things, or like the players that come in, will be dark. So we don't want that. We want them to be lit as fuck. So what we're going to do now is go into the window lighting settings, and under the lighting tab, which you might want to save somewhere, I'm just going to cover all this real quick. And first off, you've got skybox materials, or skybox, the sun source, directional light. This is fine. If you want to change that, you can. You can leave real-time global illumination on. Generally, it's not a huge deal. It's not going to cause a great deal of lag, and it's really just for a matter of having, if you have like emissions on things in a world, it's doing the emissions as as more real time, I guess, but it doesn't really have any performance hit that I've seen. If there is, I'm sorry. Besides that, down here you've got indirect resolution, light map resolution, padding. These you can tweak a little bit. Like really, the light map resolution, if you want, you can make it like 20. 10 is again not a big deal. I'll legit just show you as 20, and then besides that, you can compress them if you want. If you need to make them larger, but should be okay. Again, if you're having issues with things looking weird, then you can tweak some of these settings. But most of the time, especially for the type of environment that we're focused on here, the lower the better. The lower, while maintaining the proper resolution and everything that you want, the better. Then compressing light maps, yes, please. And when you're this final gather, when it's the last time that you want to do the baked, or before you plan to like publish, I do recommend doing final gather and setting it to like 140ish for the raid count. That seems to be a pretty decent sweet spot. So yeah, you can go ahead and do that. And then besides that, again, you can tweak these and all, but it shouldn't be too much more than that. That should all work. Right here you'll see auto generate. Oh yeah, make sure this is unchecked. If it's not already unchecked, remove this. Do not have auto generate unchecked. Uncheck auto generate. I can't reiterate that enough. Then you can come in here and hit generate lighting, and it will now take forever to generally bake the lights. For us right now, we've got like one baked light source, so it's actually not going to take a super long time. And I'm just going to go ahead and let it do its thing. It'll also then do the reflection probes, and it'll be done. Now, if you have a huge map, it'll take forever. I generally don't recommend, doing that. So we're going to go ahead and press play, take a look at it. Look at this. It's not bad, actually. If we want, we can now take like this light, make a couple more of them, and we're gonna scale the range down because this is really just as fill light for the world, and because we want it on the players, we want a little bit more light on the players. So I'm just gonna put one right here for the next example. I mentioned bakery earlier, and if you have a larger map, then bakery is a godsend. It basically uses GPU rendering instead of CPU to render your light maps a lot faster. It's basically its job, and it does an excellent job. To run through this, simple settings have honestly been fine for me every time. There's an advanced and experimental bunch of settings that if you want to get deeper into it, by all means, go ahead. Rendering mode, full lighting, indirect shadow mask. Again, I've been doing full lighting. Directional mode is for me none. Textiles per unit, 20 is a pretty decent. Max resolution, 1024 or 2048 is good for me. Feel free to tweak that. Bounces, this is if anything, this is a little bit extra, but 5 and 16 is not terrible. And then GPU priority is just how much priority, or how much priority you want to give the GPU. If you set it lower, it'll take longer to render. If you set it higher, to go faster, but it uses more power. So then when you're ready, you'll just hit render. But we're not ready because this right now won't work. This won't do anything. So to make a bakery light work, we actually can go to our point lights here. So we're going to go to this. We're going to search bakery, and then under here you'll see all these. You'll see skylights, point lights, these light or direct light and everything. The only one that we're really that we really need at this moment, and the one that you'll probably use the most, is the bakery point light. So you do that, and then there's this option here that says match light mapped to real time. If you click that, it matches the bakery light script to whatever is up here. Then I would uncheck this, just like this. I would do the same thing. I would come in here, add a bakery point light script, hit this, and uncheck this. Then honestly, you can leave these real time or whatever if you want, but generally you're not gonna need these much. Then once you're ready, I would actually recommend not having any baked data. See, so everything is blank like this when using bakery. So I just cleared it. I just cleared it from the lighting settings. We just hit render, let it save, give it a moment. It'll export and do its thing. And bam, there we go. Now we've got a baked light map, and we can tell by either going to play mode or game or whatever and seeing that everything is lit. Everything is good. Now if we load into this, I think that we have a VRC world and everything. Yes. I can actually show you really quickly. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a test build. Test builds are generally really quick, so I recommend using them. There's also a script that you can get off my Discord that will give the option to not load VR, which can be a pain. You just set it as your launch script instead of the VRChat app. It just forces desktop mode. Gives you giving me the option right like this. Now this map is actually kind of big. Doesn't need to be. A lot of it's because of textures. But once we load in, you'll see that we look a little dark, so we need to fix that. But besides that, we've got a room full of light that it doesn't look terrible. To fix the light on the player, this is because light probes and the reflection probes haven't been done yet. So you'll see in here all the baked lighting is working fine, and to fix this, we only have to do the render light probes and render reflection probes, both through bakery in this case. If you do them through the normal lighting, they'll be done all at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and render light probes. Now you'll actually see them running through the entire room. There we go. And then just do the reflection probe again, because we did clear that before. And then do another test build, and that's it. That's basically the whole thing. You now have an entire room with no real-time lights, and should be running fairly well. You know, I'm getting a solid 90 frames, so it optimized. Okay, you now have a completed room with a light source, baked light sources, or two baked light sources technically right now, along with light probes, reflection probes, and all done fairly quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please come check me out on Twitch or whatever and say hello. Thank you very much. I hope you have an excellent day.